Hello everyone, Keza here, making a video today about getting money as a new player or young player. So I have my character here that I actually used in the getting started video, and I've played them a bit, not a lot. Let me actually see. If you're wondering how long you've been on a certain character, you can type profile. And probably not while you're fighting, but if you want to do it while you're fighting, you can. It's in one of these options. Alright, here it is. So this specific character, total is at just over 12 hours. So in about 12 hours, let me see here. Get this loot and add it to what's in my bank, and I'll see how much money I've made in 12 hours of playtime with this character. And I have the skills up here because you can see I actually haven't done any AFK macroing, or really macroing of any kind except for camping. That was just to raise my initial stats, which you can see here are also not like super great. I actually have intelligence down because this is primarily going to be a Dexter character. Anyways, back to seeing how much money I've gotten in 12 hours. So about 45,000, a little over that. And I mean, that's not super impressive for 12 hours of playtime by any means, but as a new player, that's enough to get your first house or get you going with some reagents so you can start your mage or whatever you want to do with that kind of money. So I'm just going to show you a few things that weren't in the first getting started video I have with this character. I'll actually link that here. In that one I covered going in the normal Oklo dungeon that I was just in, and then going down further in it, and also looking at the boards here to, you know, see these kidnap things. You can go rescue them and get all the loot from the mobs, turn the person in for the reward, and then loot the chest for the gold in it. And if you want to start a character with 50 lockpicking and 50 healing or something like that, you can actually get the main chest in there to unlock and get quite a bit of gold out of that. But I'm not going to do that in this video. Right now, shoot. I was going to show you one of the things I did to raise my skills initially when I had almost no skill in healing and all that. You saw a bit of this if you watched the Getting Started video, but I'm going to show you a different location this time. And mostly because if you're using a Dexter, you're going to want to go here for armor. Got a war mode. They're a fighter. They're probably not that good, but I'll hire them anyway. They'll most likely die, so I'm not going to give them anything more than the basic amount. So this place I'm going, this is kind of like the graveyard area. A lot of starting players are used to, you know, they're in Oklo instead of Britannia, and they're used to going to the Brit graveyard to farm things like skeletons and get bone armor. And that's what this character is using, because brand new bone armor has maybe 26 armor, and it reduces your dex by none, so it's pretty useful. So I came down here quite a bit and tried to get my Provo up without dying, and it went pretty well for a while. If you're not careful though, you will definitely get yourself killed. Kill this guy. And so far my hireling hasn't actually taken any damage. That's interesting. If you're lucky, you can find a silver instrument to help provo these guys, if you're a bard, that is. You can keep the bones. One of the things about getting gold as a new player is loot everything, really, because you can usually sell it in one way or another. And these bones that are dropped, like the rib cages, you can actually use your scissors and cut them into normal bones. These bones are used for crafting in tailoring, so good to hold on to. And you don't sell these to NPCs really, you just save up a bulk amount of them and then you go and try to sell them to players somehow. So anyways, that's this area. I could kill this thing, I guess. And this would probably kill your hireling if they're not a paladin. Wow, full health from that. This thing has like 50 hit points. But anyways, I don't want to make this video too long. I'm gonna go ahead and let my hireling die here, and hopefully I'm able to kill this on my own. Ha! 71 gold. I made a profit off that. It's funny. And I have trained up my fencing quite a bit, so I'm able to do some decent damage down here now. Your hireling is actually going to be doing more damage than you if you're just starting out. I tried to find a use for things like arms and legs and stuff, but if you loot them and try to cut them or anything, it doesn't really get you anything. Alright. 120, not bad. Alright, so that... Oh, and by the way, there's a lich down here, so be careful of that if you come down. That was another good location where you can stock up on bone armor or sell it if you want. Not bad for making money if you're trying to keep within the Young program. But mostly I'm going to be showing you areas you can go to get gold outside the Young program. Kind of like a getting started part 2 here. And to do that, if you don't know, the best way to lose your Young status is to go back towards the bank and then go through the moon gate. You can go to wherever and then just go back. And if you have Young status, that will eliminate it. And then you're going to want to go to probably one of these player vendors here. And, I don't know, one of them is going to sell recall scrolls. So I've bought a few of them. And the only ruin I have is one that gets me back to Aklo. And that's really the only one I need right now. I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to go off to one of the most common newbie locations. By the way, this book, it might change location. I don't know, this is a player house. But right now it's here, and it is for dungeon entrances. Shoot, I need to make sure I have... Yeah, I have a night sight potion. One of the most common is Despise, which is a good place for making money as a new player. And notice I'm coming here without a hireling because getting one to run all the way out here with me would be quite problematic and time consuming. So I'm not going to bother with that. So level 1 up here is good for farming spined leather by killing these guys. And also good for gaining skill. I mean, I'm still going to be gaining skill off these guys for a while. Show my... not that one. There we go. So right when they die, you can just cut them, drag their stuff into your pack, and cut it with scissors. I did that pretty quickly because, I mean, I'm used to the hotkeys I have set up. But you're going to want to set up a hotkey to use your dagger, and then a hotkey to use your scissors, and then it's just a matter of quickly click and dragging to get the hides off them. And they don't drop a lot of money. They're not very difficult. And I mean, you might get PK'd down here once or twice, but that's why the only thing I carry is just my ruin. And a few recall scrolls. One mistake I see a lot of new players making is they want to carry their ruin book with them at all times, but the second a PK comes around, they're probably going to loot that rune book. Well, 50-50 they'll loot your rune book. But if they do loot it, all the runes you've built up are gone. So you want to keep your rune book in the bank and then just carry one with you. Or, like this character, I mean, I'm just using existing rune books that are right next to the Oklo bank, so I don't really need to have my own book. Anyways, the whole purpose of coming to this area as a new player is to get a little bit of gold from looting these guys, but mostly to get the spined leather, because players will pay 30 gold per piece of spined leather, and it's going to look silly, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yes, basic math. So that's 720 gold, and I just killed 2 lizardmen on top of whatever I looted here. Alright, so 100 gold. So, I don't know, almost 850 gold, and I just quickly came here and killed 2 lizardmen. So that's pretty profitable if you think about it. You just have to find the player who's going to buy it from you for the right price. Some people are going to try to buy it from you for only 20 gold each or something, but you just wait for the right buyer and you'll get a good price out of it. Down in the lower levels here, if you can handle it, is some good stuff just for looting in general. These don't particularly have a ton of money on them, but it'd be good for training up skill. I feel like I immediately bit off more than I can chew. Well, that'll help. And if I'm not careful, I'll get killed down here. There we go. So, even without training my Provo, AFK, which most people will do, they'll find a way to get into a Provo house, or they'll go to the zoo and they'll train it up. Mine's only at 52.4. It hasn't gone up much at all. And I'm still able to succeed on a lot of these lower level stuff, and all I'm using is a GM bot tambourine. So it's really not that difficult to get started with a Provo character. You'll fail a few times, but you'll get through it. Oh, and then the other thing you can loot from these is those treasure maps, which sell for anywhere between 800 to 1,000 gold. Gosh, it hits so hard. Nope. Having only 25 armor does do that. And so again, I loot, you know, everything that might be useful. The reagent automatically goes over to this bag for me. And then looting the potions, of course. Because you might actually use those too. Just gonna kill this guy and then move on to the next area. Alright. Not gonna waste too much time around here. I've already been through this whole area quite a few times with this character. Alright, so down here is, technically I guess it's level 3. And in level 3 you'll find a lot of the same stuff. But if you follow the same path I'm taking, which is, you know, not super hard to follow, but people get confused, you just basically take 2 rights and then go down this way. And I'm headed towards the area with titans in it. Not that this character can kill titans, but I can occasionally provo cyclopses, and those are actually very good gold. Just kill this rat so it's not in the way. Alright, so there's one cyclops. What I'm looking for is, wow, 2 of them only. That's perfect right there. They do hit quite hard, so unless I successfully provo them like that, it's going to be a really short fight. And like I said before, I am just using a GM instrument, and this character is still just starting out, so it's very possible to successfully farm. I guess this is what you might consider a mid-level mob with a pretty new character. It's going to take me a while to kill these, though. So if you can and you're using a provo character, you always want to try and make sure they die close to the same time. Otherwise you're going to have to do a whole lot of running after one, or end up tanking that last one. There we go. Alright, so let's see. So almost 400 gold, and again almost 400 on that. And then I can loot and sell those. Magic items sell for a little bit more than just default items like this. So that's good. And so you can farm those. If a Titan shows up, let's just see what this is all about. I think I remember getting destroyed last time I tried this, but we can do it again. Yeah, failed to entice. I don't know if this character actually can entice the, or provo the Titan. But if I stick around, I'm going to get blasted by a flame strike or something and go down pretty quick. So this character's not quite up to that. If you do train your provo up and you get it high enough, that would actually be a really good area for you to use for making money, because then you can definitely provo the Titans onto each other or onto the Cyclopses. And I'm not going to bother killing that troll. I'm going to go ahead and go back to Aklo now. And just recalling around with 30 magery there. It's plenty for me. I'm going to grab 2 more scrolls. The reason I carry 3 instead of 2, every once in a while, when I try to recall back to Aklo, the spot, like my recall location, will be randomly blocked. And you lose your scroll when that happens, so you want to have a backup one, because if I'm, you know, out in the middle of a dungeon and then I all of a sudden have no recall scrolls, you're kind of screwed. Or you just have a really long run. Alright, so bank what I got there. I could bank that stuff. Let me just bank this because it's heavy. And the next place I'm going, I want to take my silver tambourine. So I did find one of these. I didn't transfer it onto this character. You'll find silver stuff drops frequently enough that you'll probably end up getting one relatively quickly. So I'm going to show you another location this character has used for making quite a bit of money. Back to dungeon entrances. Alright, and then we're going to head off to Deceit here. And so I'm using my silver now. What? Confused as to why those are there, but whatever. I didn't really fight in this starting area because there's not much more there than you might find underneath Aklo. What I did with this character is run down to the second level where you can find mummies and bone knights, because using those guys to provo against each other is a pretty successful way to make money. And my chances at provoing them, I think, are increased by 10% with that silver tambourine. But even with that, sometimes it doesn't work. But the great thing about mummies is not just do they have great gold on them, But they drop a whole bunch of other items like bandages and potions and stuff. So I really like the loot I get from them. There we go. Alright, so the first one died. And like I said, a whole bunch of loot you can get off that. Now another funny thing, this other mummy down here, he is already damaged. That's because he keeps walking in front of that trap. And I mean, if you really want to, as a new player, you can use traps to your advantage, but it's pretty slow. If you have magic resist, I suppose you can come up and provo the bone mages and all that. But this character doesn't have resist, and if I fail provo, it ends up being a mess. Whereas these guys don't have magery, so I can just run them around in circles, and it's not a big deal. Yeah, so that is the teleporter tile that takes you down another level. And these guys also have good gold, but in addition they do drop more items that I just sell for additional money. If you're watching this video thinking, alright, well which one of these methods is actually the best at making, you know, the most gold per hour, I'm sorry, but I didn't really do the math on any of that. Gold per hour is not my thing. I tend to do just strange builds and do whatever's fun. Alright, they're both provoed. So once I have both groups provoed like this, I can just pick them off. But yeah, like I was saying, I'm not sure, you know, maybe the Cyclops Valley or Cyclops area is going to be the best gold per hour for you. If you're just starting out, like fresh new character, and you want to go outside Aklo, the Lizardmen might actually be the best gold per hour for you, because those hides do sell quite often, and people are always looking to buy them for a bit of gold. So you might get the most gold just starting out there. But yeah, as you move up and you gain more skills, you can definitely get more by doing other things like this. And here's all the extra stuff I was telling you about. They drop a shield, a sword, and a piece of plate armor. The plate armor is pretty heavy, so you're not going to be able to loot a lot of it before you have to go back and sell. But I think it sells for like 60 or so gold each. So it's worth looting if you're still new. I think I stopped looting the shields because they're only worth like 15 gold, and they're pretty heavy too. If you find any kind of silver weapon, it's probably good. I just have a cheap vanquishing weapon that has no additional modifier of tactics or anything on it. It's just massive, so it's durable. It's a good training weapon because you're not gonna get your tactics up to 90 skill points or something and then stop gaining it. Okay. And this is primarily what I've done in this area. You can go down the level, but you'll get immediately confronted by a poison elemental, and then there's some liches beyond that. Not what I would really call new player friendly area. So I'm going to head back to Aklo again. Before I even bank the gold, let me go sell it. So you can see here as I'm selling, the plate helm is worth 60, and one of the wooden shields I have in here is actually magic of some type. Yeah, it's an unidentified. So whatever modifier that has on it is adding 20 gold value. So just, even if you know what you're looting is going to be a garbage magic weapon, loot it and sell it anyways. It's probably worth enough money. And then all these swords and stuff I'm just going to sell. And then this guy should buy the armor. Yep. There we go. Alright. Actually, my mistake. I forgot my main money is actually going here. So from that little run I just did, I actually got 2,300, not just 800. So definitely more worth it there. And I haven't even sold these gems yet. Just gonna offload some more of this stuff here. Alright, for this next location, you can see I'm just going to be running there. I'm going out through Moonglow. One of the things I get asked by new players is not just where to go to make money, but where to go that isn't such a hot spot, because, I mean, if your play hours are during the prime times, you're going to run into PKs. There's just no way around it. Oh, I don't think I have a macro set up for this guy. Alright, so what I'm doing here is making a macro that I've already made on other characters. But basically it just has my character say these words, which I copy and pasted from the website. I don't know if you're able to see them. You might be able to see them here when my character says them. But anyways, it teleports you to and from the Lost Lands. And right now I've just gone from Moonglow to Papua. And the reason I'm here is because this is one of the best areas, I guess you could call it. Or north of here is one of the best areas for some new players to get some mid-level mobs without too much worry from PKs. PKs are more than welcome to come out here and try and kill you, but the odds of them finding someone out here, and the fact that this area is so big, tends to make them not hunt players in this area. It's really just not worth their time, because this is a massive place. If they're running around trying to track a player, they have a lot of area to cover, and honestly, if I was a red going around trying to kill people, I would really just be checking the hotspots in the dungeons, because they're far more likely to find someone in there than to run around out here all day trying to find one person who may or may not even be out here. And so you can see one of the first things I run into is this mummy. And this character can solo him, but you can also see this area isn't really ideal for my Provo character. If you have another character that's not Provo, like maybe a Peace Dexer, or just a Parry Dexer, any other kind of character, or even if you're a low-level tamer and you're trying to find stuff to kill, mobs are very spread out here, so you can take them on one at a time. And that's usually a pretty good system. Dungeons can often get crowded, especially for lower-level tamers. So this is a good area. You're not going to run into PKs, and it's decent money. I'm just going to try and show you a sample of all the different mob types that you'll find out here. But I'm not going to go through the entire area, because as you saw, this place is just huge. It would take quite a while to run around and show you the whole thing. Just finish this guy off real quick. There we go. Oh, and 2 weapons. So because they're from... well, that one's worth selling. So because this is a magic weapon off of a... I'd call it a mid-level undead, I'm going to save that and ID it when I get a chance, because there's a very slim chance it could be a respawn weapon, which is a type of slayer. So here's the thing to avoid if you're new out here. Unless you can provo them or you have some tactic to take them on, don't go after the Titans. They will blast you with Flame Strike and then use a melee attack to finish you off pretty quickly. So I'm just going to skip past that group. You also saw there was a Cyclops there. But in general, I mean, these things are pretty spread out. You can also kill the orcs around here if you want. They're not bad for skill gain. Not great for money, though. There's also the orc fort that is to the west of Oklo. If you just want to kill orcs, you don't have to come all the way out here. So yeah, stone harpies are out here. Go over here. This is another thing you might have trouble with as a new player, just because they proc deadly poison. But let me see if I can actually provo these two. Well, that worked out for me. The scorpion has rudely decided to invite itself to the fight, which isn't not a great thing for me because my healing isn't high enough to cure its poison, which is why I carry these around anyway. So, problem solved. If you're not carrying cure potions around though, the scorpions could definitely be a problem for you. You can sell those lesser poison potions for some, I don't know, small amount of gold. They only weigh 1 stone, so it's not a big deal. You can loot them or not loot them. Just want to finish off this bird and move on. Oh, die already. Yeah, if you're a new player, things like this are going to take quite a while to go down in the end. But you'll eventually get them. Also, if you really want to loot everything, you can take the feathers off these. Each of them will drop 50 feathers. But if you're trying to get feathers, regular harpies are a much faster kill for feathers. Imps, you can kill them out here. They do have magery and they can flame strike you, but they have very low hit points. Kind of similar to an orcish mage. Just gonna have to... Oh. I was able to cure that. And that wyvern, I'm not going to bother killing that thing. Unless I was able to provo it. Let's just see if I can get lucky enough to do that. Nope. Alright, moving on. You already saw the mummies. You guys have already seen me kill that stuff. There's no point in repeating it for this video. This is just to get a quick idea of what's in this area, because it is a safer area to farm, both because the mobs are spread out and there's just less PKs. So over here is, I guess it might be considered a hotspot of this area. This wasn't always here, but now it is. There are gargoyles that spawn here. And the stone ones are actually not bad at all, because they don't have magery. So you can just go in and take these guys out pretty easily with most any new build. Alright, so those were the stone gargoyles. Regular gargoyles do spawn there. There just weren't any up at the moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip. The disadvantage of farming out here is really that if you die way out there, you have to run all the way back here to get a res. So I'm just running south towards Papua. There is a healer in town, but there's always also a healer somewhere in this general area. So I just ran past him there. Alright, so I brought this character back to Aklo, just going back through Moonglow to, and then the gate to get him here. And I sold all the gems and extra stuff I have. So now this character has a little over 50,000, and let's try this again. Alright, so it's this menu. So now this character is at about 13 hours and about 50k, so the amount you make isn't that bad. A lot of the time spent on this character has been, you know, killing very small things like rats and skeletons, so it definitely was very slow going at first, but now you can see just in the short length of this video I've gotten several K. Once you get going, the money does get a lot easier to make, but when you're still young and you have just 0 and almost every skill, it is going to be slow at first, but don't get discouraged by that. And also, don't forget, if you want to gather things, I mean, there's bone, there's spine leather, you can get ingots, feathers, all of this stuff can be sold to other players for a good amount of money. So if you're more into resource gathering, that is not a bad route at all as a new player. So I hope this video has helped you, but that is all for today. I hope you guys learned something from this quick guide video on making money as a new player. I'll see you next time. Later.